Good evening, this is News.PH, but it's not politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. A group of Filipino marine and geological scientists have just returned from, and we could add, may as well have conquered Benham Rise. A little over 2 years since the country's claim to it was approved by the United Nations. Benham Rise is a 13 million hectare seabed off the coast of Aurora province that potentially contains steel-producing minerals and natural gas. Our guest tonight, Dr. Mario Aurelio. He's a member of the Philippines Extended Continental Shelf United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea team for the Benham Rise claim. Dr. Hildy Nacorda, team leader of the Benthos study, and Dr. Cesar Villanoy, program leader of the Benham program. They are members of the Benham science team, but they like to call themselves totoo ba to? The Benham bottom grabbers. Of all the things. Bakit nga ba bottom? Good evening, everybody.
Hello. Good evening.
Bakit bottom grabbers?
They
Ano gusto niyong palabasin? Ano gusto niyong palabasin?
Well, we would like to think na kami yung una nakatouch ng bottom ng
Kayo
Benham.
talaga una, di ba?
We think so.
Humans.
The first humans. Wow. You must be ecstatic, no? Having come back from that trip, that cruise, whatever you want to call it, no? Is that the correct word to describe it, Dr. Villanoy?
Yeah, it's essentially a research cruise. So this is actually part of a program funded by DOST.
Yeah.
And,
but what I meant, Doctor, was the feeling, no? What do you feel like right now?
Well, it was like an exploration activity because we're getting to see things that no human has seen before.
Parang bumalik tayo sa Age of Discovery. Parang ganun. In the 14th, 15th century. Ganun ba, Dr. Nacorda?
We came without knowing what we will find. And we didn't, it's 50-50, it's 50-50 chance we will be diving because we do not know what depth we will land into. So when we first knew that there was shallow, how shallow was shallow or how deep was deep. And so when we ventured in...
Hindi nyo alam yun? There was no previous study that could tell us, or you couldn't take a topographical or whatever it is, a measure of the depth, yung mga ganun? Wala?
We were able to get data from NAMRIA, which showed maps of the bathymetry, and this was the surveys done by the Continental Shelf Committee.
Okay. Dr. Aurelio, you have a PowerPoint that you brought with you. Of course, this is not going to be really a very serious lecture na, dapat nga parang homily lang, less than 8 minutes. So, mag-aalala pare ka. So, let's go through that PowerPoint so that we can talk first before we go into the trip, no? Let's do the background first para maintindihan kasi ng taong bayan why you went there and how we won this claim.
Right. So should...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
just
so
talk.
it all started in about 1999 or 2000 because we are a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, that we are required to submit it's called a submission actually, over our entitlement. It's not even a claim at the start. Entitlement, that means that it really belongs to you, but you have still have to file in the United Nations. So that's what we started doing in about 2000, and it was about 12 years in the making. That means from 2000 to 2012 when we eventually got the approval from the United Nations. That took 12 years. Why did it take so long? Well, the UNCLOS has a subcommission called the Limits of the Continental Shelf. And what does this commission do? It evaluates, it reviews submissions from coastal states like the Philippines.
We're going to show the first slide of your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Is this the, yes, this is the one.
This is
okay.
very scientific, but
it's all right.
It simply summarizes how a submission has to be made by fulfilling these requirements. And what are these requirements? Very simple.
Wait, Dr. Soria,
sure.
can you explain muna, delineating the extended continental shelf beyond 200 m per Article 76 of UNCLOS?
Exactly.
When you say extended continental shelf...
It's beyond what you are already entitled as your continental shelf, which is measured from the baseline 200 nautical miles away, offshore.
Okay.
Just be aware that nautical miles not equal to the mile that we know. It's 1.87 something. It's longer than the
mile that we know.
Yes.
And a mile, of course, is
1.6 kilometers roundabout.
All right.
And then, so it's called an extended continental shelf because if you want to extend beyond the 200 nautical miles, then you have an entitlement so long as you fulfill some criteria. And what is shown here is the set of criteria. There are 4 of them. These can be measured, but then you'll have to perform several scientific surveys, and that's what was done from 2004 to 2008. And then you'll have to process your data, present it in a very scientific manner, and then compose a report, then submit it to the United Nations. Now, the members of the commission are also scientists. They're basically geologists, geophysicists, hydrographers. So they know what they are looking for, and therefore we had to compose on the part of the government, the Philippines, we had to compose a team that were made up of geologists, geophysicists, hydrographers, and so we performed the surveys and then processed the data, wrote the report, and finally...
When you say performed the surveys, meaning how did you do that?
Yeah, well, there are also some figures in the PowerPoint, but it shows. Maybe we can get.
Yeah, let's go now to the next slide, please. Yeah.
Because there's a picture of, it's also done by a ship, and this one, those are the milestones from 1999 to 2012.
Let's skip this one, all right? Let's go to the next one. Yeah, so just keep talking, Doctor.
Yeah, so here are the many offices that participated actually. So you see it's not just one office, and several other agencies also. And so the survey was conducted by making use also of several survey ships of belonging to NAMRIA. And so what had to be done was, as you can see from this image here, for example, there were 18 cruises. They just did one cruise. Now, there were 18
first time
cruises.
to dive it.
Yeah, first time to dive. Yeah.
All this first 17 cruises, surface lang, parang ganun.
Right. But essentially to gather data on the subsurface, meaning what is on the seabed and below it. Okay, so that was done for several years, and then we had to present it to the United Nations because it's like presenting a legal case actually, but the contents are highly scientific. So there's also thesis defense. And
pumasa naman. Siyempre pumasa tayo.
And you know the time interval between the presentation and the approval was per United Nations standards very fast.
Really?
For the
and
Philippines.
what was that? What was
that? Was in less than 2 years. There are submissions now which were submitted in 2002 which have not been approved yet. That has been 10 years ago. So, pero ito kasi, these are the areas which are more complex, like the Arctic Ocean.
So why were we so lucky?
Perhaps the team was good.
How were we able?
Perhaps the team was good.
Was good. Okay. Pero why? Why?
Well, I guess we were able to prepare. I think quite. We had enough time to prepare, and we were guided, of course, by a set of scientific guidelines, a 300-page guidelines, and we just did what was instructed there.
Oh, Doctor, very briefly, since we're already showing this on the screen, can you tell us what is this? The saddles. So
this is some kind of the summary of the submission. So you see here, there's a Benham Rise area. You are only entitled automatically this 200 nautical mile zone. Okay. Hanggang dyan lang.
Hanggang sa green,
hanggang sa green line, which is called there the 200 nautical mile line. But what we wanted still further to obtain is an extension of that. So we had to prove that those areas are still part of this same Benham Rise. So we had to use...
Meaning that they are contiguous.
They are contiguous. The term is a natural prolongation of
natural prolongation.
And you'll have to use concepts in geology basically to show that the rocks here are the same, exactly the same as the rocks in the Benham Rice region. And so we were able to obtain about 135,000 square kilometers more of area. If you calculate that, estimate that, that's about 3 times the area of Luzon, the land area of Luzon.
Hindi naman ito pinag-interesa ng ibang bansa.
Yeah, that's one other thing why the approval was rather fast, because there's no disputed area in the region. If there are disputed area, maybe
not that we're asking for it.
Maybe no one is interested.
Why aren't they interested?
But of course, there are there are poachers
or
from other countries.
Other countries, I guess all countries, no? Marami, and that's why ganun yung condition ng corals, diba?
Yeah.
But okay, so and then why? Okay, first of all, tell us muna. Sorry, it's called Benham rice because it's a rice because.
Okay, it's a bathymetric terminology. When you say rice,
bathymetric,
it's bathymetric, meaning underneath the ocean, covered by water.
All right.
But it's relatively high compared to the seabed, the general seabed. So it's a rise. Well, there's a continental shelf that has a rise and then a slope, and this goes down to the abyssal plains, the deepest parts.
The deepest part, okay.
So this is relatively shallow.
What is the shallowest portion?
From the previous bathymetric surveys, it's about 42 meters.
42 meters, sorry, in feet?
In meters, in feet, that's 120 or
120.
Yeah, feet.
That's not very shallow also. No?
It's not shallow, but that's the shallowest.
That's the shallowest already.
And I think that's the part where they did their dives.
Okay. And then of course the next, delineating the outer limits.
I think that's the last slide, which is the summary.
Yung mga Nara spur, Molave spur, Bicol saddle, bakit saddle at spur ang tawag sa ganyan? Para lang malinawan.
Again, those are hydrographic and bathymetric terms. A saddle is something just like a saddle of a horse. So there are relatively 2 shallow areas, and at the middle is a deeper area. But still, you'll have to show that these 2 shallow areas are made up of the same rock, so that you can prove that it is a natural prolongation. And then a spur is just like a finger or an arm of a main palm.
Okay, so and then you have to prove that it is also part of
Benham rice. So we use the Palanan saddle and Bicol saddle as the continuities of Benham rice.
Who gave the names? Palanan, Bicol, Molave?
Our team. Because they had no names beforehand. But the name Benham rice is credited to an American geologist in the 1930s, I guess, who first recognized the bathymetric feature.
Okay. So now that you won, and then of course parang dumating na yung punto, it was time to get down to the planning.
Right.
Diba? So when last year na
2012 actually.
Sorry,
April
2012. Oo. So it took about 2 years to plan this 18th cruise or 18th trip, correct?
I think
19th. Yes,
19th. Sorry. Correct?
19th.
Yeah. Can you take us through the planning process? What did it take? No? Ikwento nyo na lahat.
So when this was approved in April of 2012, there was interest sa research community to explore nga yung Benham rice kasi we don't know a lot about it. Dahil atin na yun, then next step is pag-aralan. So the National Research Council of the Philippines organized some meetings to come up, conceptualize a program. Tawag is exploration, assessment, and mapping of deep water areas in the Philippines. And the first area that they wanted to look at was the Benham rice.
Okay. Exploration, of course, for divers. Kasi di ba usually ang diver pupunta sa isang dive site na na-dive na, di ba? Ang tawag sa ganito, nag-exploratory dive talaga kayo. Malay nyo ba kung anong makikita nyo sa ilalim?
So yung first activity was to look at the Benham Bank. Yung Benham Bank, yun yung shallow seamount on the southern side ng rice. So yun lang yung our ships do not have capabilities to look at things several thousands deep.
Yeah. Kanina, marami tayong nakita mga logos ng different government agencies, no? So this is a multi-agency effort. This was also funded by?
The lead agency is NAMRIA. So it's a national government budget course through the Namria.
Okay. So, all right. More on the preparations. What did you need to prepare? What did you need to do?
Well, we organized a team. So it's made up of researchers from different universities, UP Diliman, UP Los Baños. We have to get specialist divers from Xavier University.
Specialist meaning?
Skilled.
Wedding deep.
Advanced. Kasi we were expecting really deep dives.
Okay. But you are all divers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the team.
And then we had to it was fortunate that BFAR was also interested in the Benham Rise, so we had a joint program with them so that we could share the use of the ship. So they were very generous in that respect. They were able to provide the ship for the cruise.
So it was an exploratory trip or cruise. At the same time, you needed to assess the benthic life in the Benham Bank. What do you mean by benthic? Can you define that for us?
Anything on the sediment is benthic.
Okay.
There were also teams that did assessments of the water column. That's their team.
When you say the water column, meaning?
The water above the sediments, the holes, that part of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so in other words, you studied the entire area.
I think just a sample of that
A sample
area.
of the entire area.
Yeah.
A sample of the entire area. Okay. Let's go. Okay, we need to take a short break first, but when we come back, we're going to show already the videos and the photos that you took of the trip, of your different dives. We'll take a short break, like I said. Please stay with us. News.PH will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching News.PH on the Solar News channel. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Still with us, the Benham Science team. We're talking about the trip that they just came back from. Dr. Mario Aurelio is with us, Dr. Hildina Corda, and Dr. Cesar Villanoy. Okay, let's talk about what happened during the trip. Now, you brought back several photographs and videos of what you saw underwater and what it was like when you got there, no? But before anything else, you left Manila Bay, nanggaling kayong Manila Bay, tapos umikat kayo pababa.
Around the Bicol Peninsula.
Bicol, no?
Yeah.
Okay, and it took you how long?
It's 2 days.
2 days. Dire-diretso lang kayo?
Yep.
Okay. So when you got there, all right, we'll go quickly through the photos and then we'll just say kapag kailangan i-freeze, no? Sige, describe this. This was a shot from a GoPro camera, right? On a kite.
From a kite.
Okay. Sige, go ahead. Please tell us what you saw there. What's going on in these photographs?
So we usually use a GoPro. We drop the GoPro over the site to select dive sites. Once we've selected the site, we drop anchor and then we lower a sinker line from where the divers descend. The currents are very strong, so we had to have safety lines the whole time the divers are down there.
Yeah, mahirap maghanap ng nawawalang diver doon, ano? Sobrang laki. Okay.
So at mid-depth, yung bula mo patagilid. Hindi maakyat. So it's when you get to the bottom where the currents slow down a bit and it makes it easier to go around. But we had to have very short bottom times.
Okay. Can you describe to us, every time we come across a photograph that shows equipment, tell us what it is and why you brought that with you? What was it for?
So these are some of our oceanographic equipment. So we use these to profile or measure different parameters of the water column. So during the cruise, we lowered instruments down to 1,000 meters to measure the temperature, salinity, oxygen, chlorophyll, and also to collect water samples for chemistry. So we hope that these samples can give us some idea of how productive the waters are in the Benham Rise.
Okay, what's going on in this photograph?
We're deploying, I think, the GoPro camera to have a feel first of what the bottom is and what the depth is. The anchor was at the bow, and the depth measured there is different from the rear. So
what was the depth at the bow?
I think it says 50.
50? Okay.
And then so may plus minus 2 ka dyan when you go farther from the bow. And then here,
This is loading.
oh, this is loading. This is
in
part
the
of
botas.
loading.
Okay.
I see.
All right. Sige, yeah, okay. Let's go on. Can we change photographs, please? Sige, and then, okay. Parang bumalik tayo. Bumalik sa photograph. Okay. Ano bang nangyayari? Baka balik na lang kaya tayo ng Benham Rice. Who is this?
This is the captain.
Okay.
Captain Kaliwang.
All right.
The boat, the V4 boat.
Okay. And what's going on here?
This is we're looking at the ship echo sounder to look at to find dive sites. So we have to move around the bank to find the shallower depths. So pinaka-shallow namin is
Ang pinaka-shallow nyo was?
49 meters.
And sorry, in feet. Sorry, I think in feet. So
Mga 170,
forgive me,
170 yata.
170. Nako, so that means sandali lang kayo sa ilalim. Which is literally what? How many minutes?
5.
5 minutes. Okay. So while you're there sa ilalim, anong ginagawa? Ito halimbawa, ano to? Anong
This one
ginagawa
is the instrument that measures the different parameters. Tapos yung mga nasa tabi niya, these are the sampling bottles. Sila yung nagko-collect ng water samples.
Okay. So at the bottom, at 170, you're collecting what? What
Anything we will find.
Anything you will find. Is that what
These
we
are
have
some
here on
of
the table?
them.
This is some of it. Can you describe to us what's on the table? At the same time, when we see something interesting on the photographs, we'll refer back to them. Can you tell us? Yeah.
So the divers were lucky to get some pieces of corals near or next to the sinker. And this type these are the more common ones, no?
Yeah.
This one is the most common type, but the species we're going to verify. According to our experts, Dr. Perry Alinio, this is Poraites. And that figure is this, that photo shows actually this one. Taken from a dive, and that's a different species, and this is Galaxia. They call it Galaxia.
Okay. Just a word of warning: we are showing the corals, not so that you, our viewers, can go to the sea and get corals. We're not supposed to do that. Pang
very
to,
deep,
for study lang to, no?
And these are our voucher specimens. We report what we get to be far.
Okay. There are 4 small bottles here. Can you tell us what they are? What's in them, I mean?
We didn't want to waste anything we collect, so even the fragments, we take pictures of them, we took pictures of them, and then anything that are associated with these corals, we take them off and then preserve them. So here we have a shell. This is a gastropod. It was walking and
it was collected on, it says, dive to 8 May 2014. Okay.
That's the date.
And this one?
That's from the same day, but this consists of only fragments of everything that we got. We took pictures of them because there are many interesting animals attached to them.
Okay. This one?
Before we dried this Galaxia, there were algae, or algae, and we took some fronds and preserved them just the same, so we know what their cell structures are like. And this is a collection, the last one is a collection of worms and other brittle stars we find, and some other fragments.
Sana pwede pa zoom in yung camera, no, para makita yung Pero kung hindi, just imagine it. It's there. I can see it, so it's there. Okay, and it was one dive a day. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, some of the divers also took, they were taking specimens from just a distance. So we saw a lot of sponges. Those are different types of sponges.
What does it mean, kung maraming sponge?
Those are not very typical kasi in the shallows, this one is a sea anemone. We don't find large ones in the shallows.
Okay.
But this is deep. And, I saw the specimen now. It's immersed in alcohol, and it's already colored red.
Ito.
This one is our sediments in the sediment areas are composed of remains or dead parts of algae. Okay, and that's the algae that's the most common. That's we find in sediments. That's not the type you find in Boracay. It's different. Well, that's a coral specimen. That's another type of coral.
And you put
for
a 1 peso
scale,
coin under it para
oo.
makita kung for sure.
Scale, oo. So, we do not find much of the branching types which find shallows. It's more the plate-like.
Plate-like,
oo,
no? Ganon.
Yung mga parang na ganyan. And then under them, there are also encrusting animals. And this is a bryozoan, I think.
Okay. What else? What else did you see?
Well, marami pa.
Marami pa. Sige, ikwento niyo na lahat.
Oo. We also found some other the sponges are funny because when we took them, they looked like red algae to us. But when we dried them, they had the spicules, the typical of sponges. And then we also got pictures only of fish.
Okay.
And
Okay.
well, the area is not that with that many coral types. But one of the divers claimed that the structure is already old because, as you see, it is very thick. It's thick. Not typical to not compared to what we see in the shallows na when you hit it with your fins they get crumbly.
Okay. We're coming to other photographs that will show the fish that you saw, no? Like the tuna for example, yung butanding, maybe in a little while. But describe to us first what's going on here.
It's the first dive. That's the first team that went to touch Benham's bottom.
Okay.
So, well, they're going home na eh. They're going back to the boat na with these shots. But back there, after touching the bottom and staying there for like 7 minutes, they made stops at 60 and 40.
Safety stopping tawagin, ano? Okay.
And
you do that
50.
because just explain so that people understand.
We have to do
why.
that so that we rid ourselves of too much nitrogen, which we acquired from diving deep, and so that you do not get narcosis when you are in the surface.
Okay.
You do not suffer any pain in your joints.
Yeah. Okay. So kanina ang nabanggit ko, and I'm sure we're coming to that to those photographs in the video, no. May nakita kayong isang butanding. Oo. Gaano kalaki 'yon?
Hindi mga 1.5 lang siguro yun, meters.
Well, baby
siya.
Baby butanding, parang gano'n. Ito yun. Okay. Can we show it now? Yeah, there. All right. And then tuna. Kaya lang medyo nagulat ako. Oh, bakit? Tagbilang ako eh. Bakit 6 lang? Hindi ba? Saan nila kasi
marami na. Yan.
Oo. Bakit 6 lang? What does it mean? Nothing really?
Well, baka hindi sila doon nag-frequent.
Okay.
Baka dun sa deeper areas.
Okay.
Deeper pa.
Okay. What else? What else did you see?
Actually, do sa survey ng fish, 45 species yung nakita nila for the brief 5 minutes they were there, yung ating specialist.
At 170?
170, 140, do sa 5 dives na yun. He is the fish visual census specialist, Dr. Ting Nanyola of UP Mindanao.
Okay.
And
I know you can't name all 45 species, but can you tell us a few of them lang? A few lang, mga 5, 10, ganun.
I didn't see that coming. Okay, so there was the Rhynchodontipicus was the butanding. The Ting also saw white tip shark.
Gano'ng kalaki?
Maliit din lang. And it was one, there was only one. And they were joking that if there's one that size, there could be a mom just next to it.
Yes, of course. Hello.
So yun, that's one. That's tuna. And then they saw a pufferfish too. And then from the catches, they were seeing a lot of groupers, a lot of lapu-lapu, representatives of the snappers or the rugso, the bisugo. They also a lot of surgeonfish too. These are divers that are collecting actually specimens.
The corals.
Okay. The things that they see.
Kanina sabi natin, di ba, may maraming fishermen who go there. Kasama doon yung mga Pinoy, no? Filipino fishermen also. So, yes? Yeah. So, apart from fishing grounds, what else can Benham Rice do for us? What can we do with Benham Rice?
Well, mineral resources for one. But
yeah, there's very little we know at the moment. Although in similar settings in other areas, there are reported occurrences of what we call as manganese nodules, which is an important metallic mineral used in the steel industry.
Yeah. Okay.
And
we're going to rewind the video para makita. Maganda kasi, dapat kasi makita natin yung video. Yeah.
Slow-mo.
Sorry, doctor. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. And there have been reports beforehand that there's a possibility that and as I think you mentioned in your introductory statement, that there's a possibility of the presence of gas, natural gas in the area. But as I said, there's very little we know so far as far as these natural deposits are concerned. So I think maybe in the next stage or in the future stage of this exploration, we'll have to go deeper underneath, meaning into the subsurface.
Okay, let's focus on the video. Let's show the video full screen, please, para makita. No. Full screen please, para makita. Okay. Kanina merong ang tawag doon yung transect line.
It's measuring tape actually that extends longer than the tape we use for cutting dresses.
Okay.
So it's 50 meters this time. We brought 50-meter transect.
And the purpose of that was to what?
That designates your sampling area, the sampling line, and then delineates your observation area, your swath to observe fish, and video your coral.
Okay. Okay. So right now, are you already? No, well, just a while ago, sabi ni Dr. Aurelio, we know very little right now. So we have to. Well, like you said, BFAR is still there, no? So we have to keep going back, keep exploring.
Yeah, that was the whole essence, perhaps, of formalizing the extent of the territory, so that from there on we can start exploring and perhaps even exploiting, not in the commercial sense of the word, but to learn more about what is underneath the rice.
Okay, this video that we're showing right now, this is at 170, correct? 170 feet.
More or less.
More or less. Okay. We'll take a short break. News.PH will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to News.PH. Still with us for the Benham Rice briefing, Dr. Cesar Villanoy, Marine Science Institute, University of the Philippines, Dr. Hale D. Nacorda, also Marine Science Institute, What? What's wrong?
I'm from CESAM, UPLB.
Please mark that correction. And Dr. Mario Aurelio, National Institute of Geological Sciences, University of the Philippines. Okay. What else do we need to do in Benham Rice? What else do we need to study?
Yeah.
Kasi sayang naman yung napanalunan nating claim.
Right, exactly. Kasi the definition itself of continental shelf is the subsoil and everything underneath it. So, for example, if you are onshore, makakita ka ng ginto, that doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the state. Same thing here. So, if we find there precious minerals like what has been mentioned before, manganese nodules, then this should provide, if they are of commercial value, it should be added value to the government itself. And also, there have been talk before of the possibility of the existence of what in the scientific world called as gas hydrates. These are solidified methane gas, actually, that are supposed to exist at deep waters so that temperatures are very low and therefore they can solidify there.
In solid form?
In solid form, nag-freeze siya. So you simply need to gasify them back so you can make use of them as sources of energy, for instance. But unfortunately, in the Benham Rice region, we still have very little idea of whether they exist, these minerals and the potential gas reserves exist at all. So you'll have to perform in the future, perhaps next stage or a stage in the future of this exploration of the Benham Rise to verify the presence of such natural resources.
So you will need help from, because this was a government effort with a few private schools, di ba? You will need help from where?
Well, in the oil industry, for example, in the Philippines, it's a very expensive venture actually. So most of the activities are done by private companies, and even them, the Filipino companies have to hire or contract out the work to normally foreign groups to perform the surveys. So in the same manner, if the Philippines would like to do that, then most likely, at least at this point in time, I think it will be better off if a contractor would perform the job for us. Of course, what we are doing now is to, trying to train teams in the Philippines to do the surveys. But then you'll need ships and these vessels that are very expensive, and technology which is very expensive, drilling equipment and so on and so forth. So that will have to be planned out properly and budgeted and supported by.
Yeah. Well, who's taking the lead here? Who is going to take you to the next step?
A lot of the direction research in deep water is being spearheaded by the OST, especially the Philippine Council for Agriculture and Aquatic Resources. So they're supporting this, and although we're starting with a bank, which is the shallower part of the Benham Rise, we hope that continuing efforts will be done to enable us to go deeper and deeper. We need to build up that capability.
Yeah. What other equipment do you need?
We need
apart from what Dr. Aurelio said.
We need remotely operated vehicles to be able to go down deeper and longer, to do more quantitative assessments of the bottom.
And collections.
Yes, okay. And
and also we need better ships to be able to deploy instruments at greater depths. At the moment, we do not have those.
Yeah. You need another rope cams?
Yeah. Our team actually vehemently suggested that. I was part of the team that visited the Celebes Sea with the National Geographic. I was an observer there. And they had technologies for deep water surveys. So there I saw their technology from Japan, the ROV. And then they employed rope cams. It's actually a camera tied to 2 kilometers of rope. Then they leave it there overnight, and it is programmed to be on for 3 minutes every 20 minutes until 24 hours. Okay?
Why 3 minutes every 20 minutes?
That's their program. That's the time the tape gets elapses. So
okay,
it's digital naman.
Yeah.
And then they hold it back after that, and then they see what happens at the bottom. We were able to record in the Celebes Sea curious, usual eels that they see, and a very big crab. I don't know what the identity is.
A very big crab. Wait a minute. You're can you show us yung kamay nyo? Sige, let's focus on Dr. Hildy's hands. A very big crab. Can you?
Half a minute.
And like I said, I know for one.
Ganito, Dr. Hildy. I've seen a crab na ganitong kalaki.
It's a coconut crab.
Tiga-kapis ako eh. Ganon. Oh, mas malaki pa doon.
Oo. Kasi yung galamay niya, head yan.
Hindi nga.
Head pala.
Kasi I know the size of the camera eh.
Okay.
And the light is here. And then the curious, it has a bait, no? The rope cam has a bait.
Yeah.
The bait used before was the imelda fish they bought from Ross Boulevard.
Okay.
And then it was way after the sinker. So, and it had really large, long arms.
Okay.
But they were, of course, unable to get that.
Yeah,
Just
of course, that's in
footages,
Celebes, no, not in Benham
No,
Rice.
no.
Ganun.
But that was the
Okay.
first deep sea exploration that I went to.
How deep again was that?
Oh, good question. That was limited actually by the depth of the tether rope of the ROV. So that went down to as deep only as mga 1,000 lang.
1,000.
Oo, dun lang sa shelf ng Tawi-Tawi.
1,000
Meters, sorry.
1,000 meters. Okay, okay. How important is it that we get all that equipment, we get all that support, so that we can further explore Benham Rice?
We actually just got approval from the OST to start a program called geophysical coral mapping. So that comes with the equipment. It goes deeper than what we currently have.
Yeah, okay.
But we hope that we will be able to use that next year again in the Benham Bank.
Next year, okay. But that's
Hopefully.
for coral mapping.
Coral mapping.
So I'm talking about, for example,
Mineral
gas
resources.
hydrates, manganese,
Yeah.
nodules, etc. No?
So
So that, but at least we can see Benham Rice as not just fishing grounds. Or am I being?
Yeah, well, there's not been really serious talk yet as far as we call it geophysical survey, meaning you want to go deep into the Earth's crust and study what is underneath. In the same manner that we do that in Palawan, for instance, the oil fields in Palawan. Because, as I said, it will take a little more money, well, a lot more money, and also the technology. There are no local survey companies that are capable of doing what these oil companies do.
Yeah.
So it should, I think, a long-term plan should be started ASAP, ASAP.
Yeah,
And,
but isn't that long-term plan? Wasn't that long-term plan part of the vision?
Yes, it
because
was part of the vision.
when we filed, you said not
Right.
not claim, no, but when we
An
presented
entitlement.
our entitlement,
Yes.
di ba? Kumbaga ipinaglaban natin
Because of
tapos hindi pala natin
itutuloy.
tutuloy. Ganun ba yun?
Tutuloy natin.
Tutuloy
But
natin.
in fact, several of the participating organizations like PNOC, Philippine National Oil Company, they are theoretically they know what to do, but then we lack the equipment, we lack the technology. So there should be ways of setting out a strategy.
Yeah.
So that
we
eventually
get the
we can
equipment
do
we
it
need, diba?
ourselves.
Oo.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can do it ourselves.
Kasi sayang, I mean, we're not going to drop the ball on this,
Right.
di ba?
As far as how to do it, we know. But then it's a different story if we can do it because of the absence of equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a challenge, and
Yes,
that's
really.
something that needs to be hurdled, right? I
Right.
mean, to find the funding for that, to find it.
Even in the collation of data that we had to do for the preparation of the report, as I said, we did it in almost 12 years. We had to go abroad, like we went to Germany, believe it or not, we went to China
Okay.
to gather data.
Yeah.
We went to Japan, we went to New Zealand, and other countries, because
Sorry,
these countries have surveyed earlier on these areas geophysically.
Yeah.
In the US, for instance.
And
the first,
who knows the most? China? Who knows the most about Benham
that I
Rice?
cannot answer.
Why is that
for
top
now.
security?
No, not really. I
Yeah.
don't have the figures right now.
Oo.
But even them have information in these areas.
Okay.
Japan is the most, actually, if I can remember.
So other
Jamstick,
countries have been able to explore
right?
Benham Rice?
Geophysically, simply running a boat, sailing a boat, and
Okay.
then what we call remote sensing techniques, meaning you don't touch
Yeah.
what you want to see.
You just drop
send a
some
signal.
camera.
Yeah, just send a signal. You recapture the signal, and then you interpret what the signal means. There. So even New Zealand had the information on those waters.
Okay. So it is still, kanina I asked who's parang leading the charge, no? I mean, and then you said there was that group, etc.
DOST,
yeah.
Well, I think it's a multi-pronged approach
Yeah.
at the moment. Where NAMRIA was the lead agency for the entitlement, submission to the entitlement, because it is the mandated agency to do such a a submission. Now, the consequential activities can now branch out into different expertise or agencies, and therefore, for example, the water column could be in the Marine Science Institute, and the geophysical underneath could be, right now I'm thinking of the Department of Energy and the Philippine National Oil Company, who have the knowledge about what to do in those areas. Yes.
Okay. Are there other findings? Because we have to end already. No? Are there other findings that you have, or recommendations? Dr. Villanueva?
Well, this area is also very important in the North Pacific circulation. It's a very critical part of the current systems in the Pacific. So we have to continue also to study those, because this can help us understand better the biology and the chemistry of that part of the water. And we should also look at the other seas around the Philippines, not only in the Benham Rise. We have a lot of deep water areas. We are an archipelago. We have a lot of waters greater than land, so we have to continue studying those and garner support from the different.
You're talking about the West
government
Philippine Sea?
Yes.
But then you get chased away by the Chinese?
But there's still a very large area, even along the western margin of the country, that we still don't know about.
Okay, but the problem here is
it's a disputed area.
Yeah, well, disputed area. And then, ang inaalala ko lang kasi, so you fought so long and so hard for Benham Rise, and then, okay, we're at first base, and are we gonna ever get to second base? Parang ganon. And if we don't, and we drop the ball, what happens then?
We lose what we have won.
Really?
By default?
By default, yes.
Okay. Final words. Dr. Villanueva, you first.
I'd just like to thank the many agencies that help support this cruise, particularly DOST. We had support from BFAR, NAMRIA, and we had a very great team from the different agencies, different universities that work together. So
we had teachers and students. Right?
Yeah, we also had students. We even had an undergrad student to work with us. So we're just glad that we were blessed with good weather and nothing untoward happened. But we hope that we can continue on with this effort next year.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nacorda.
We want to see more of what we saw, because I think we just are at the tip of the iceberg. There's something more that we need to see, and it's not just for us, and it's for everybody.
What else? What is that more that we need to see? What else do you think is there?
There is an interesting, transect if you may, that has that shallow part, and we only went here and here repeatedly, because the rest cannot be accessed at that time.
Cannot be accessed because
it's deep.
Too deep.
Too deep for humans. So if that line, which maybe we find more fish, maybe we find larger fish, maybe we find more interesting animals that we saw from Nat Geo, for example.
Okay. And Dr. Aurelio?
Yes, I'd like to take the cue from what you said, that we fought it hard just to get this entitlement, and we should continue on and not drop the ball. And from my side, I'd like to see a strategy, a plan that will go even deeper into the crust. And so we can see what's in there in terms of its natural resources, minerals, as well as perhaps gas or oil in that area.
All right. Thank you very much to my guests tonight, Dr. Villanueva, Dr. Nacorda, Dr. Aurelio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. See you again next Wednesday. Good night.
long. Well, the UNCLOS is has a subcommission called the Continental Limits of the Continental Shelf. And what does this commission do? It evaluates, it reviews submissions from coastal states like the Philippines.
We're going to show the first slide of your PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Is this this is the one?
This is
okay.
very scientific, but
it's all right.
It simply summarizes how a submission has to be made by fulfilling these requirements. And what are these requirements? Very simple.
Wait, Dr. Soria,
sure.
can you explain muna, delineating the extended continental shelf beyond 200 m per Article 76 of UNCLOS?
Exactly.
When you say extended continental shelf,
it's beyond what you are already entitled as your continental shelf, which is measured from the baseline 200 nautical miles away offshore.
Okay.
Just be aware that nautical miles not equal to the mile that we know. It's 1.87 something. It's longer than the
than the mile that we know.
Yes.
And a mile, of course, is
1.6 kilometers roundabout.
All right.
And then, so it's called an extended continental shelf because if you want to extend beyond the 200 nautical miles, then you have an entitlement so long as you fulfill some criteria. And what is shown here is the set of criteria. There are 4 of them. These can be measured, but then you'll have to perform several scientific surveys, and that's what was done from 2004 to 2008. And then you'll have to process your data, present it in a very scientific manner, and then compose a report, then submit it to the United Nations. Now, the members of the commission are also scientists. They are basically geologists, geophysicists, hydrographers. So they know what they are looking for. And therefore, we had to compose, on the part of the government, the Philippines, we had to compose a team that were made up of geologists, geophysicists, hydrographers. And so we performed the surveys and then processed the data, wrote the report, and finally...
When you say perform the surveys, meaning, how did you do that?
Yeah, well, there are also some figures in the PowerPoint, but it shows, maybe we can get
let's go now to the next slide, please.
Because there's a picture of, it's also done by a ship, and this one, those are the milestones from 1999 to 2012.
Let's skip this one, all right? Let's go to the next one. So just keep talking, Doctor.
So here are the many offices that participated actually. So you see it's not just one office, and several other agencies also. And so the survey was conducted by making use also of several survey ships of belonging to NAMRIA. And so what had to be done was, as you can see from this image here, for example, there were 18 cruises. They just did one cruise. Now, there were 18
first time
cruises.
to dive it.
First time to dive. Yeah.
All this first 17 cruises, surface lang, parang ganun.
Right. But essentially to gather data on the subsurface.
Or whatever it is, a measure of the depth, yung mga ganun. Wala.
We were able to get data from NAMRIA, which showed maps of the bathymetry, and this was the surveys done by the Continental Shelf Committee.
Okay. Dr. Aurelio, you have a PowerPoint that you brought with you. Of course, this is not going to be really a very serious lecture na, dapat nga parang homily lang, less than 8 minutes. So, mag-aalala pare ka. So, let's go through that PowerPoint so that we can talk first before we go into the trip, no? Let's do the background first para maintindihan kasi ng taong bayan why you went there and how we won this claim.
Right. So
go ahead.
Okay,
just
so
talk.
it all started in about 1999 or 2000 because we are a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, that we are required to submit it's called a submission actually, over our entitlement. It's not even a claim at the start. Entitlement, that means that it really belongs to you, but you have still have to file in the United Nations. So that's what we started doing in about 2000, and it was about 12 years in the making. That means from 2000 to 2012, when we eventually got the approval from the United Nations, that took 12 years. Why did it take so long?
Good evening, this is News.PH, but it's not politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. A group of Filipino marine and geological scientists have just returned from, and we could add, may as well have conquered Benham Rise. A little over 2 years since the country's claim to it was approved by the United Nations. Benham Rise is a 13 million hectare seabed off the coast of Aurora province that potentially contains steel-producing minerals and natural gas. Our guest tonight, Dr. Mario Aurelio. He's a member of the Philippines Extended Continental Shelf United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea team for the Benham Rise claim. Dr. Hildy Nacorda, team leader of the Benthos study, and Dr. Cesar Villanoy, program leader of the Benham program. They are members of the Benham science team, but they like to call themselves totoo ba to? The Benham bottom grabbers. Of all the things, bakit nga ba bottom? Good evening, everybody.
Hello. Good evening.
Bakit bottom grabbers?
They
Ano
are
gusto niyong
bottom
palabasin? Ano gusto niyong palabasin?
Well, we would like to think na kami yung una nakatouch ng bottom ng
Kayo
Benham.
talaga una, di ba?
We think so.
Humans.
The first humans. Wow. You must be ecstatic, no? Having come back from that trip, that cruise, whatever you want to call it, no? Is that the correct word to describe it, Dr. Villanoy?
Yeah, it's essentially a research cruise. So this is actually part of a program funded by DOST.
Yeah.
And,
but what I meant, Doctor, was the feeling, no? What do you feel like right now?
Well, it was like an exploration activity because we're getting to see things that no human has seen before.
Parang bumalik tayo sa Age of Discovery. Parang ganun. In the 14th, 15th century. Ganun ba, Dr. Nacorda?
We came without knowing what we will find. And we didn't, it's 50-50 chance we will be diving because we do not know what depth we will land into. So when we first knew that there was shallow, how shallow was shallow or how deep was deep. And so when we ventured in...
Hindi nyo alam yun? There was no previous study that could tell us, or you couldn't take a topographical